There we are, right? We're here. Invite a guest to see how layout is unique. All right. Just reading some messages that popped up. We're live from the Philippines back. What's up, baby?
I will turn on the vacuum. I'll close the door.
Oh, okay. We're back in Butuan. And what a trip, man. What a trip. What a journey. I thought we'd do a live stream. We could talk about whatever, right? But I wanted to tell you guys about our trip, some of the high spots that we saw, some of the cities that were just really, really cool. And yeah, just enjoyed it. Mascara Festival itself was a little bit of a bomb, right? That was kind of the whole purpose of going out there. I've been trying to get out to the Mascara Festival for years and hadn't been able to make it out for one reason or another. And then finally we got it out. And we just couldn't coordinate with any of the events or anything to do. We ended up it's a big party, so if you're into the party kind of atmosphere or whatever, I would definitely recommend going. But if you're into like the more cultural or street dancing, it's pretty hard to kind of see any of that stuff. We couldn't get it. We stayed out one day for hours and we couldn't really catch any of the street dancers. I actually saw more dancers in the Senegal Festival. I saw more Mascara Festival dancers in the Synagogue Festival a couple years back when I did that than I did when I went to Bacolod. So just because the winners were there in Sinulog in Cebu when they did that. So yeah, a little bit of a disappointment there, but the whole trip was just, man, that was really, really incredible. Let's get the map up, right? Let's get the map up. Share screen, allow. Yeah, let's get the map up because I wanted to talk about, let's see here. Oops, add to stage. There we go. So I wanted to talk about some highlights of this trip real quick. And then we'll go into comments and stuff like that. But I thought I'd just give people time to kind of show up or whatever, or build their questions or whatever. But so here we are, and I like to show the terrain. So here we are in Butuan City, and what we did, Mary Rose and I, is we had left Butuan, traveled the northern coast of Mindanao here, and then hopped over from Dapitan to Dumaguete, and then rode up Dumaguete to Bacolod, right? So we took, I think, 3 weeks or so to do this trip. And that's where the Mascara Festival was in Bacolod City. So we had left. We did this first leg here to CDO. And we had stayed, I think we shot a video down there, and we stayed at the Red Planet, which is whatever the hell. It's actually a really good little place. It's just located right off the SM Mall. Yeah, I don't have my things turned on, but anyway, yeah, well, let's take a look here. Show on your map. Oh, yeah, there it is. So we stayed at this Red Planet, and like I said, this is a really decent little place to stay. The rooms are okay, whatever. Yeah, and you could see it's pretty inexpensive. What does that turn out to? Let's pull that out for you guys. Calculator. And then, yeah, 1,700. Yeah, it's like less than $30 a night, right, for that hotel. And it's right on the SM Mall. So you can just walk out, you got food, you got restaurants and stuff like that. So we did this first ride, and, whatever, as you can see here, it's a 3-hour, almost a 4-hour ride. And this section here through Calvaria is just breathtaking, man. Really beautiful. Once you get through Hinog, this gap right through here, man, just really, really phenomenal riding. Probably one of my most favorite roads is that stretch right through here. So highly recommend that, riding through there. So yeah, then we got to CDO, and we hung out in CDO for a couple days, and just kind of chilled out there. And then we hopped on the bikes and went over. We did a really long stretch over to Dapitan. And Dapitan, guys, is just a beautiful little beach town here. It's they have this, Rizal. This guy is a pretty important historical dude for the Philippines. He's He's similar to our Abraham Lincoln. And I don't think he was a president, but he's on their peso. So he's a pretty big, significance to the history of the Philippines. And so this guy was kind of all over that area. We hung out there and, Dapitan, but beautiful little beach town, man. Just a gorgeous little community, about 80,000 people. This was a real standout for us. We absolutely loved it here. Could see staying a month and just exploring. The terrain all around it was just amazing. We rode this little loop down through here, gorgeous. We drove by some of these little beach resorts down through here, just so beautiful down through here. Just, yeah, really, really loved it. Dapitan is cool. And then rode up through this way and kind of followed this coastal road down here too. I just highly recommend Dapitan. I'm going to get rid of those little markers on my map. But yeah, so Dapitan was amazing. And then so we stayed there actually, I don't even know, we might have stayed there 4 nights. And then from Dapitan, you can see by these lines, you can hop over and get a ferry to Dumaguete. And then we just spent 1 night in Dumaguete, stayed right on the strip at the Bethel Hotel. Really good little place there, man. Really like that. It was a couple thousand. And then from Dumaguete, we pretty much rode right up to San Carlos. And San Carlos is, not a bad little town, friendly area. Was actually really surprised about the eastern coast of Negros here. Really, really loved it. Loved it a lot, man. Really enjoyed eastern coast of Negros. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Friendly people, beautiful little cities. The town of Bias right up here, I think it's called. About an hour and a half out of Dumaguete, wherever the hell that is up. Yeah, right here. Love this little town. We got a video. I haven't edited yet, but I got a video. It'll be out on Friday from Bios here. Love that town, man. Great town. Just has got a really good energy to it. We're out walking around and they're out playing Frisbee football. There are, pickleball courts everywhere. Just a really kind of fun, outdoorsy, athletic, super friendly little town, man. Love that little town. And there was just several of those that stood out, all kind of through this eastern coast of Negros. I wasn't really a fan of Negros before, admittedly. All I really did is kind of went to Dumaguete, right? And it's similar to saying you don't like Michigan because of Detroit. So, I just really enjoyed Negros, and in particular, this eastern coast of Negros. And the riding in Negros is just absolutely amazing. I shot that video in riding through this Don Salvador stretch up here. There was a little bit of construction coming out of San Carlos, guys, but this road through here, the San Carlos, all the way up through Don Salvador and back around to Caltrava. Amazing. Really, really good. And one of the standouts and why it is so good kind of deal is because of, it's just like farmland, pineapple plantation and then, sugar cane and, just everything right there. Just really, really so unique, so beautiful. Really good riding all through here. Just gorgeous. And then we actually did that after the Mascara Festival. From Bacolod, we rode up and stayed at that little resort up there I like to stay at, wherever the hell name that is. But anyways, that was kind of, and then we just kind of worked our way back down and, we slow rolled it back home and, spent another night in Dapitan and went and then stayed at Iligan City. Sorry, I got this thing on my feet here. Stayed at Iligan City. And I like Iligan City too. Very Muslim, but that's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But nice mall there. It looked like a clean city to me. We stayed at Iligan and then home. So that's kind of the trip. That's pretty much everything that the trip that we did and the route that we took and the standouts. Bios was definitely a standout. Bios Negros was definitely a big standout. Good sized town. I'm trying to remember the population and I can't off the top of my head. They've got a big grocery store there, metro grocery store, which is key when you're looking at kind of these small towns. Yeah, Bios was definitely a standout. But yeah, that was kind of, and then Dapitan, another standout. Now, Dapitan's a lot smaller, but you've got Dapolog, a neighboring city, maybe a half hour away. That is a big town. So yeah, those are kind of the trip and the recap of kind of what we did and what we liked. We'll probably maybe we'll shoot a whole, Mary Rose and I will sit down because I think her perspective also too would be interesting. Maybe we'll sit down and we'll do a recap of the race. She's here, or of the ride. She's here now. She's not feeling so good, but she's around. I'm sure she'll be on camera at some point. But yeah, I still haven't been. Just about the only places you'd go back to, Kamigan and Siargao. Brother, that's why I like Butuan here. I've got so much right here. And Bukatan in the mountains up here is just really phenomenal. We'd actually went on a ride. Let's see here. Let's see if I can share this again. I think I took it off. And add the stage. Okay, we actually went on a ride just yesterday up in the mountains up here. Man, it was just beautiful. And then where the hell was that? I guess I didn't mark it on the map, but right up in the mountains up here. It was really, really gorgeous. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, there's so much to see. So much to see. I'm stoked. Yeah, that's kind of why I picked this region too. I've got a lot of part of the Philippines that I haven't really explored yet. I've got Kamigan, I got Siargao, I got all those places that I can go to. Bukatan, lots of places. Yeah, dude, I'm coming soon. You're in Chiang Mai, Thailand, looking at condos that are 150 a month. Yeah, I heard you get a lot for your money there in Thailand for sure. You get a lot of bang for your buck. Better infrastructure the whole way, but just the people, right? Nothing wrong with the Thai people, but you don't have Filipino people there. So a lot of guys I hear and see what they do is they get their Filipino wife and they move to Thailand. So, but yeah, no, a lot of good things about Thailand. Chiang Mai, the bad thing about, from my understanding of Thailand too, is that burn season. They had some of the worst air quality in the world during that time. So, but yeah, otherwise, I think Chiang Mai, that was on my radar also. Thailand was, and Chiang Mai was the spot that I was looking at. Better food, so on. Yeah, good for you, Dave. Yeah, nice. Good morning. It's been a bit. What's up, Heath? How you doing, brother? It has been a little bit. We were traveling around. And a lot of times when you're at the hotels, the internet's not the greatest, right? And most of the hotels that we stayed at, the internet's not very good. So we had struggled a little bit with connectivity. So no really good places to kind of live stream. So yeah, last time we did a live stream would be back at home. And we've been gone on the road for 3 weeks. So how are things, man? Yeah, things are good. But like I said, traveling, been on the road, been around. So I haven't been to the gym or running. So I'm getting that belly back, which is a little bit unfortunate because I just felt right before the trip, I felt like I had kind of, rounded a corner there with my exercise and back in. But that's all right. We're back home. We're gonna get it. But no, things are good, man. You have to, for me, I have to remind myself what I'm doing and what I'm up to, and and just be present to that, because I'm just so incredibly lucky and fortunate to do what I'm doing, to wake up and go ride. I pinch myself, so yeah, things are good. Things are good. My best years for sure. I'm in a country where I've got friendly people. I wake up and I ride my bike and go motorcycle riding. I can go to the gym and work out. I have complete freedom to do what I want. It's good. Life is good. Today we're just going to hang out, wait for electrician. We're going to get some light fixtures installed. I mowed the grass yesterday, pulled weeds, walked around, went on another ride. So yeah, man. Life is pretty chill out here, brother. Pretty chill. I'm digging it. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, Troy. I hope you're good there, brother. What cities that you stayed in where you would consider the Wi-Fi good enough for remote work? Next up, you can make any of these cities work. And the reason you could do that is you could get whatchamacallit, Elon Musk, Starlink. You can get Starlink. So if you really needed to do remote work, you just spend whatever, I think it's 3,000 pesos a month or so. It's not super cheap. It's about the same price. I'm just looking for my calculator. So let's just say 3,500 pesos. I think, yeah, it's around 60 bucks a month. And you get Starlink, and then you're good anywhere, brother. Now, the thing to watch out for then would be power. So you'd want to pick a city that has not frequent power interruptions. So thankfully, where we're at, Butuan doesn't. I don't know about Bias. I wasn't there long enough to know kind of what's going on there. But you can get Starlink. There's Starlink is good anywhere and everywhere. So if you want to be super remote, Starlink would be probably your best option. If you're in some of these bigger cities, there's a carrier called PLDT, like Papa Lima Delta Tango, PLDT, and then Smart, I think is the other, or Globe, I'm sorry. PLDT and then Globe. Those are kind of the three main providers, Starlink, Globe, and PLDT. So we have the last two places that I've lived at, Leyte and here in Mindanao, I've had PLDT, and I like it. It's good. I pay, I think, what do I pay? 1,600 pesos a month, which is like what, 30 something bucks, I think. Yeah, 30 bucks a month for, I think I've got like 150 meg or 300 meg pipe. Now, admittedly, there are times where it's up and down or slow, like at 8 at night local time. Sometimes it's dragging. And here I might get slow internet connectivity. So it's not the best internet that I have, but it is fiber. So I've got fast upload, I've got fast download. So it's duplex, full duplex fiber connection. So, and then Leyte was good. I had really good connection in Leyte too. So it just depends, brother. Just depends. But this is a trait for me, and I think for other foreigners too, that is important. And that's just the ability to adapt. You really want to come at it, and you could figure this, you could figure all this crap out, right? It's doable, but you want to have the mentality of, we'll come up with plan A, plan B, and C, and so on. It is a big part of this culture here, is that adaptability, and something I'm learning. An example of that for me would be working on my own bike. I didn't really do much of that in the United States. I just took it to the shop and had it done. And I wish I spent more time learning how to work on my own bike there in the United States versus trying to do it here. Because now you're in a situation where you just don't have a lot of amenities and you have to kind of figure it out for yourself, right? So I like it in that way, but you always want to, and I say that just because in this instance where you're looking to work, you're going to want to have options, right? So if the power goes out, where you're going to want to go to work, especially if you're working like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you want to come up with strategies and plans where you can go if there's a power outage. Now, if you pick a big enough city, you don't need to be in like Cebu or Manila or whatever, but if you are in those cities, dude, you can go anywhere and everywhere and you can work 24/7. But if you want to be a little more remote, like where I'm at kind of deal, you could do it. You just want to have backup options. Know the resorts or hotels that have generators and Wi-Fi. So it just takes a little bit of work and strategy, but you can get that worked out, brother. Not a problem. Yeah, man. Dude, yes. We were right up in your area, man. We stayed at the, sorry, I just dropped something here. We stayed at that La Vista, I think it's called La Vista Highlands up in there. Dude, gorgeous, man. I love your area. Don Salvador is amazing. Amazing. Just beautiful. One of my favorite areas to be, for sure. For sure. Yeah, the Duterte started the coastal road construction in Davao City with a new politics in power. They don't seem to want to finish it. Yeah. Or, dude, they might not finish it, right? There's a lot of that can happen, even in no matter what country. You can have a political party come in and kind of dismantle a lot of what the previous administration goes. So that's no surprise, right? Yeah, I understand. Hopefully that gets done though. Have you been to Davao? Looking at the city that's walkable to malls and with less tourists. I have been to Davao. I was back in Davao almost a year ago, I think it was. Shit, I don't remember. But I was down in Davao City. I like Davao. I do. I think Davao, for me, I wish I would have started in Davao versus Cebu. Kind of, I mean, yeah, I like Davao. I think Davao is good. It's a good place to start. Less tourists, you're right. Less foreigners there. Lots of amenities for us. Lots of big malls. Yeah, you can do that. A city that's walkable, the malls though, Cebu City and BGC would be, or Makati would be some other options. Actually, Davao probably would not be a good option for a walkable. Davao's not really a walkable city. You can walk around Davao. I'm not saying that, but it's just really big and spread out. Versus Cebu, bro, that's town is compact, man. Compact. It's really tight. You can walk from the business park to the IT park. I've done it, whatever. It's about a half hour walk or so. The sidewalks aren't the greatest, but it's definitely walkable. Cebu is probably your best walkable town. In Cebu, you don't really want transportation because the roads are just crazy and you get along with grabs and taxis and motorbike taxis and all that. Cebu is good in that way, Cebu City. But Davao is good if you want a little less foreigners. You're going to want transportation at some point. You would, if you move to Davao, you'll be taking daily grabs and that kind of deal and taxis. So add that to your budget, a couple bucks one way. But yeah, it's and then BGC and Makati are also walkable, easy to kind of get around there. But Davao is not. Yeah. What's up, brother? Yeah, dude, I was looking for that on my map. The Sun Cold Springs. Thanks for showing me that. God, that was gorgeous up there. Let's use my neighbor. We run over to road up there, and that was good, man. It was a good ride. It was beautiful up there. Beautiful. Don't come to Butuan. Bunch of earthquakes and volcanoes and all that, right? Oh, brother. Hope you guys slept good over there. I'm told some older expats, 60, feel invisible in Cebu. Less dating. Have you heard this? Yeah, Billy, it's true. Look, Cebu City is kind of worn out, blown out. Yeah, I would agree to that for sure. The dating is a little bit hard there. Well, the dating is hard if you're unwilling to get online, right? That was my mistake too. I went there. I didn't really want to do online dating. And then next thing you know, 6 months go by and I haven't dated at all. And it was fine, right? Like I didn't move to the Philippines to date, but I was like, the dating in the Philippines sucks, but I was just doing it wrong. You got to get online. Now, the problem with that, and that's Cebu City, right? It's different in other regions. You don't need to get online here or outside of Cebu City or really a lot of other places in the Philippines, and you probably don't want to get online if you can avoid it. Just because you're gonna like it, you just gotta weed through a lot of crap before you get to good people. So, but yeah, Cebu City's blown out. Makati, all these big cities where people are at, Iloilo. There's not really good dating, and then you get online, and then you get access to a larger dating pool, but there's a lot of bad people there to kind of go through. But whatever. I would get out. If you're moving here if you're moving here to find a wife, there are a lot of good cities. Cebu City is not one of them. Nor is Manila or Iloilo or any of these other towns that you've heard of before. Go to these smaller towns. Look for towns that are around 300,000. I would say anywhere between 80,000 to 500,000 is a good town to be in for finding a wife. And it won't take you a month, maybe 2 months to get in there, and you're going to just be inundated with dating and that kind of deal, right? But when you get into some of these pockets like Cebu and that kind of deal, it's just, dude, it's no good. It's blown out. And part of the problem is you've got guys that are just coming here on a temporary basis that are just dating and dating and dating and dating, right? So, That's kind of the struggle and the challenge with some of these cities. So, whatever. It just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking to date a lot, yeah, Cebu City's great, man. Cebu City's great for that. If you're looking for a wife or a girlfriend, not so much. Not so much. I met some amazing Chinese girls yesterday. Made me realize even more how little Thai people care for foreigners, don't they? Yeah, man. That's the thing about Thailand that I just wouldn't. And that's why I moved to the Philippines, right? I really wanted a friendly culture. I was, done with a hate culture. Nothing to. I want nothing to do with that. So that's why I moved to the Philippines, is I wanted to surround myself with friendly people. That was the number one reason. And so, and then I got, access to incredible scenery and beautiful terrain. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I want to go visit Thailand. I want to get out there and explore it, but I don't know if I could live there for a long period of time, unless I was with, if I was married or whatever. Even then, you're still around people, other people. Philippines has Starlink, so you can be anywhere in the country, even the remote islands, and get high-speed internet. Yep. Then I would just add to that, if you're working 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and you gotta have uptime, you'd want to couple that with some type of solar system, some type of solar generator where you can have power also. Because when we were in Leyte, even if we had Starlink, unless we're powering up some of these times, because not often, but you would have some of these all-day outages that, it'd be like whatever, a Sunday, and they're usually scheduled. Most of 90% of the time they were scheduled, and especially the all-day ones. But then you'd get if it rained heavy, we'd be down for an hour, right? So I wasn't an issue for me, but I'm also not trying to work, right? But I would say this, if you're working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 kind of deal here in this country, you're probably going to want to stick to some of these bigger cities. Definitely, closer to 1 million or 500,000 and up, because then you would have access to some resources like, malls and, Cebu City. I never had any issues with connectivity in Cebu City. None. The condo that I stayed in had backup generators. My internet was up. As soon as I moved to Leyte, yeah, there's some stuff, but it wasn't it wasn't unworkable, right? Yeah. Working on this 33-year-old habit of smoking on my 15th day. Gold coin with cold turkey. Good for you, brother. Woo, that's hard. Yeah, I used to smoke back in my 20s. That's hard, man. Good for you, man. Congratulations. It's not easy. Not easy. Oh, man. Stick with it, though. Stick with it. Yeah. I mean, I know you know all this, but the health benefits are just, everything, for smoking. Yeah, the food will taste better. You're going to feel better. But it takes time. It takes time. It takes quite a bit of time to kind of get through it. So, yeah, good luck for you. Good for you, brother. That's really good. You'll love it. Yeah. Ditto. It's getting popular. Appears to be the cheaper option. Yeah. I think you're talking about outside the city and stuff. Yeah. Cebu City. Yeah. It's just kind of blown out. I mean, look, it's great. Cebu City is great in a lot of ways. It's stupid easy to kind of adjust to the culture here. Cebu City is. It is. It's idiot proof. You can come to Cebu City. There's a whole community of guys there that you'll just fumble upon, and they'll help you out. There will. There's a bunch of them there. Just walk around a mall and talk to a foreigner, and not everyone is friendly. You'll have foreigners there that'll be like, "Get away from me," kind of deal. Don't ruin. Get out of my paradise. And then you'll have foreigners there who will be your best friend in a day. So just so but there are a lot of good options. Cebu City is what Paul say 100 times. We've all said it. It's good soft landing, right? You get in here, you get in the country, and then you get the hell out, because there are a lot of great options. Like I said, Cebu City is great if you want to come, if you want to date around a lot, or if you just want the big city. Think Chicago, 3.5 million people. That's Cebu City, big city, big city, really compact. Definitely walkable. very small part of the reason I want to go to the Philippines is you love for basketball, brother. You're in the right country for that. I know they love to watch it, but they're like, dude, did you see? Watch my intro. Watch my intro and look closely at one of those drone shots. There is a damn basketball court in the middle of a rice field. Do they love basketball? And there are courts everywhere. I mean, look, they're Philippines courts, right? So they're not painted lines and crap like that. But brother, there are basketball courts everywhere, everywhere. I remember driving up in the middle of freaking BFE Leyte. In the middle of Leyte, there ain't nothing around except right in the middle of the damn road, there's a basketball backboard and a hoop. Yeah, they love basketball, and there's courts everywhere. You'll fit right in, man. And they love talking about it. And I wasn't a basketball fan. I mean, I haven't watched basketball since Bird and Magic, right? So, but yeah, they love basketball, man. Yeah. Butuan City, horrible here, man. Hot, earthquakes, freaking ground shaking all the time. $200 a month, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Freaking Fletchy, man. This guy, I introduced him to this area, right? This neighborhood. And this guy scores a bigger deal, a bigger apartment, cheaper. Oh, brother, you bust me up. Yeah. Butuan City. What are you going to do? Yeah, I do like it out here. Admittedly, traveling around, I had found some areas that I would love to live in. Like, I would love to live in Dapitan. I would love to live in that little beach town of Dapitan. I'd also like to live in Bayan City. I like that town too. You know, just big enough to grocery store. Yeah, it's really good. We both really liked up, and just the energy and the vibe of BIOS. You know, you're in that town, and they're, you know, we're gonna, our next video. I still have to edit that footage. We're out there. We like it a lot. Davao City is such a conservative Muslim place that motorcycle taxis are banned, but most people there aren't actually Muslim. Yeah, I didn't stay a bunch of time in Davao. I spent maybe a week out there. And I didn't notice the Muslim vibe as much like I did in Iligan, that we were just there. In Iligan City, man, it's very Muslim. You know, you're walking around the mall and almost everyone is, you know, wearing the headgear and all that, the stuff. But, you know, everyone was friendly, you know, and I can understand Muslims' hesitation with Westerners, right? So it's deserved. So yeah, I mean, everyone's been friendly. I've had no problems at all in some of these more Muslim areas. Davao, I didn't have that experience of super Muslim visually. I did have, like, as tourists, like, there's a bunch of folks from India, a lot of college students, right? A lot of medical, they come in for medical training in Davao. So that was one of the things that I noticed that really was a big standout for me in Davao. So if you're a fan of Indian food, freaking Davao City has got Indian food all over the place. Food in general, Davao is really, I was impressed and liked about Davao. Yeah, I like Davao a lot. I think it's a great option, man. I really do. I think it's a good option. If you're looking for a big city with less foreigners, and Davao is right on, man. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely, brother. I agree. Yeah, you are spot on. If you're looking to find a wife, that's it. That's it right there. And within no time at all, or a girlfriend, a long-term girlfriend, you know, that's it right there. Get out of Cebu, get out of some of these areas. It won't take you, but you could be, I bet you could be in the city less than a month. Is that you, babe? Oh yeah, come on in. You could be in one of these cities for less than a month. It wouldn't take long. In Cebu City, I was there for 6. I don't think you could stay. think you could stay single in some of these areas. You just get bombarded, right? But you're right. You're right on. You're right on, brother. Good girls. But this isn't where you want to go date around either. You can't date around. You know, Mary Rose and I both know this. One of these asshats, he's got like a girlfriend on every island. And some of these girls have, like, they're saving themselves for marriage, right? You don't want to be that kind of asshat, right? You don't want to be that kind of jerk off. You know, if you're going to date around a lot, stay in Cebu. But if you're looking for a wife or girlfriend, yeah, hop into some of these towns that are, you know, whatever, under 500,000, above 80,000. You could find yourself some good, because usually if it's above 80,000, they'll have a college, like you're saying, and with a university comes cheap housing and cheap food. So you have access to really good food, or cheap food, cheap housing, and all that kind of stuff, and a large dating pool. So you're right on, man. You're right on. But Thailand is a great country to be in, and they do an amazing job here making life easy for tourists. But bringing a Filipino to Thailand would be paradise. Yeah. No, that's what a lot of guys do, right? Or so I hear, so whatever. I actually don't know anyone who has actually done that, but I had heard that before as a smart thing to do. Get your Filipino wife and move to Thailand. So yeah, I don't know. Vietnam also too, for me, I wouldn't mind checking out. I think it would be very similar. Is you've got a great infrastructure, you've got good food, not the best of locals. So you bring that with you, right? Yeah. That's the scary part. How much better food is already tasting? Dude, your life's going to change, man. You'll probably gain a little bit of weight though, brother. But whatever, you know, you'll be healthier. But yeah, food will taste different. Obviously, your wallet will be thicker because you're not spending that money. Yeah, you'll just feel so much better, man. I remember when I quit. I don't know, I quit back in my 20s or 30s, but yeah, it was hard, man. But stick with it, man. Seriously, stick with it. Yeah, did it was a phone company? Yeah, Mr. Day, bringing my Filipino to Thailand reminded me of my issue with the Philippines versus Thailand right now. Is condos in Thailand seem to have much bigger, better overall value-wise. It's true, man. It's true, and that's something you look at. And you know, Philippines versus Thailand, which one? It just depends on what you're coming for, right? If you're coming for, you know, more modern living experience and gyms and nice living, you know, accommodations, that you could find that here, but it's just more abundant in Thailand. Better, you know, food, whatever. If you're looking for people, Philippines, both will have similar type of beaches and stuff like that. Probably the Philippines might have a little bit better weather in some ways, similar. But it just depends, man. You know, the people though, that's a big factor. It really is. It because like Dave's saying, you know, they just don't treat people with respect. And I don't know if I'd want to live in that area. I mean, you're older, so you'll be a little bit respected because they do respect the elderly, but you know, just, you know, when you're walking down the street here and the kids are smiley and they're happy, and, you know, freaking Fletchy and I, man, we're freaking riding through these back parts of the country and people want to stop and take our picture and they're all smiley and they're, you know, hey, Joe. And you know, they're just friendly towards you, you know, and just that warms your heart. At least it does me, you know, not that I want to be treated like a celebrity or have that need, but I want to be around friendly people. You know, I want that. And that's what I love about here. And, you know, you adjust to the environment. It is a lot. The Philippines is a lot like camping. You know, you gotta like camping. You know, the accommodations can be a little bit rough. You got to improvise. I mean, my last place in Leyte, we're freaking had a bucket. We had a tabo and a toilet, right? You know, you gotta like camping. But to me, I don't mind it, especially being a little bit younger. I'm, you know, whatever, I'll be 50, 55 in a couple weeks. Damn. So, I mean, I'm still relatively physically capable, although I've been feeling it lately. But yeah, so you just get, and that was part of the reason too, while I was excited about coming out here early, while I was still physically capable, just really adjust to this culture and the way of living now versus when I'm 70 or whatever. And then, maybe end up in some of these bigger cities at that point. But, anyways, it's the people to me that keep me here in the beauty, the natural beauty of this country, just riding around and ease. Yep. But yeah, the infrastructure, but you can find places that have decent housing, you can, or you can build your own home, so kind of that's what I'm doing. I'm traveling around this country, figuring out where I want to plant roots and then build a home eventually. I mean, it might be 5 years from now, it's not today that I'm going to be doing this. So, build your own infrastructure, build your own home, build what you want. I love having a home. I love having my own place and that kind of deal, gardens and stuff like that. Shit, you can do that anywhere, and then as far as food, well, you cook, you're Filipino, and guys, I've got all day to do whatever the hell I want. All day. I can get up and do nothing if I want, or I can get up and cook food and, we got a crock pot and stuff that we like to do, and, go out and pull weeds, whatever. I'm retired, right? So you've got time to kind of do what you want in life out here. And that for me, I can see is just a hard thing to kind of grasp. I worked, when I moved out here, I was like you guys, or most of you guys, whatever. I was professional. I worked 50 hours a week, most of the time, Monday through Friday. Well, whatever, 7 days sometimes. I was always connected to my phone. As an IT professional, I did IT support for large law firms, one of them for 16 years. So I worked, right? So coming here and having my day be about pulling weeds and cutting grass and going on motorcycle rides and dating, that's an adjustment. Going to the gym or whatever. So you have time to kind of make this the way you want it. I've said that a little bit earlier. You really want to be the guy that does it. You want to be the guy that knows how to cook amazing food. You want to be the guy that knows how to fix your own bike. You want to do it all, and that's great. We've got time to learn it. We've got time to learn it. Vietnam isn't welcoming. Yep. As Thailand. I'm never going back to Vietnam. Thailand is too different, but it's better. Same thing we're talking about, right, Dave? The people are what keep me here in this country. And, it sounds like as far as the worst ones of Vietnam, and a little bit better in Thailand, but the best are Philippines. I don't know, but yeah. But, a lot of people do talk about that. Infrastructure is the big deal. Well, build your own home, right? Build your own home. Build your own paradise out here. Yeah. And English, right? English speaking. I agree. Philippines wins slightly for me for one major region. Yep, there you go, English. Ecuador was great also, but I'm not going to learn Spanish. Yeah. Now, you do want to learn some basic words, but I mean, having 20, 30 words in your vocabulary here will get you by for sure. But if you can say hello, good morning, thank you, please, those kind of deal, right? If you got 20 words in your back pocket here in this country, it goes a long way. So yeah, you don't have to be fluent, but I would still say that you'd want to pick up a couple words living here. But to what you're saying is right on. You got an English speaking culture. When my buddy Fletchy and I were riding around, we were speaking English to people. We're up in the middle of the freaking hills, man, middle of nowhere. And, people coming out of the mountains and we're able to talk to them, and they're able to, now they're super shy and didn't really want to talk to us at all. But yeah, anyways, English, it's everywhere. Most people understand you. They might be shy to speak to you. For one, they don't want to be judged for their English, right? So they're shy to speak to you on that, for being judged, or they're just, shy to talk. But yeah. Yeah, 4-hour motorcycle ride is not as easy as it used to be. Amen to that. Isn't it true? I mean, we went on that ride yesterday with my buddy. I was freaking wore out from that. Of course, we were in the sun too. Got a lot of sun, but I'm with you, man. Yeah, that's right, Tom. Yeah. How you doing, brother? Oh, it's good. I've heard a lot about Siem Reap. A lot of guys are talking about that. I want to check that out. Yeah, Siem Reap, Cambodia. They've got a great visa too for us. Super easy visa. Um, yeah, yeah, nice, man. Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about what you're liking out there. I met so this guy travels all over. Really interesting character. He's got a channel, but I don't think he does much on it. Or maybe I'm wrong, Tom. But he does. He's a mountain climber, and he loves these. He travels around, goes to these indoor gyms, and I think that's what he's got content wise. So, but yeah, I heard a lot of guys talking about Cambodia and Siem Reap. What's that other Phnom Penh? I think it's called, right? The capital. Yeah, I would love to check it out. I'll be out there someday for sure. Yeah, I agree. I live in Canada, and it's similar to the hate culture in your video. Yeah, I had a while back. Philippines look happy people. Yeah, brother. I had to get out, man. I had to get out. I couldn't deal with it anymore. And it took almost dying to figure that out. It really did. I was in a very serious motorcycle accident, and I was in a wheelchair for 3 months while my hips were healing. I broke both my hips, and so in that 3 months, I couldn't do it anymore. I was done. I was sitting there and I was like, my life is not mine. It's my employer's, and then just to top it all off with the people just being irate and pissed off and, this race hates this race, this gender, these gender wars against, being a white male Christian was public enemy number one, right? I just was like, screw this. What am I doing here? This is a big world. I'm out of here. And I did my scouting trip. I came to Cebu City in whatever the hell year that was, August 2022, I think it was. I don't know. And I went back home, and December of that same year, I was here. Screw this. And originally when I got back home, whatever, September, right after Labor Day. It's here late August. And it was I made the decision late October. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. But what kicked it off for me was almost dying in a motorcycle accident and just realizing my life isn't mine. It's not. It's from my employer who can't stand me, who wants to fire me, right? What the heck am I doing with my life? And, I talked a little bit about that in that Mutong Falls video, right? Just walking through there. And I'm freaking lucky as crap right now. I get to travel around this country. I've got a great girlfriend. It's just, come on, man. This is my life, man. Really? So guys, the leap, what's scary is leaving it, right? Just leaving it. I was making six figures, hundreds. I've made my last year was 130,000 with all my benefits, 130,000. And I walk away from that knowing I ain't coming back. It's an IT career. You kidding me? Like 6 months out of that industry and I'm so far behind, I don't know which way is up. I walked away from that. And I was like, I can't do it. I just can't do another second of it. And so, yeah, I sold the farm and came. And I don't regret it at all. I absolutely love it. Now, after being here for 3 years, I miss family. I miss my daughter. I miss my son. I'd love to be a part. I'd love to have the time that I have now and be around them. Right? I would love that because we don't get to do that. We don't get to be around our kids. You kidding me? We work. We come home. We see them for an hour maybe at night. So admittedly, I would love to kind of be around them, have the time that I have now and be around them some more. But that's the only kind of thing that's like, yeah. But as far as like what I get to do with my day, come on, man. That's amazing. Wake up and you saw the video, how it started. My girlfriend brings me coffee and she's got breakfast and not that I need someone to take care of me or stuff, but that stuff's nice, right? That stuff is nice. Yeah, man, just really, really good. Thailand has barely any noise pollution. No roosters, no barking dogs, no loud music anywhere. Yeah, I get that. It doesn't. The noise isn't a bad. It isn't an issue for me, and some of that could just be my own hearing. I don't hear as well as I used to. I hear things, but as soon as there's any kind of louder background noise, I don't really hear much at all. And yeah, where I live, I've never lived in a place where my sleep has really been disturbed much by the outside noise. Now, admittedly, when I was in Cebu City in Selenia, when I first moved there, big condo right across from Ayala Mall, great place, highly recommend it. Selenia or whatever, right there next to in the business park. When I had stayed there, a couple of my neighbor guys were talking about the drums and bongos and whatever kind of crap that they would hear riding up through the street. They would hear that noise, whatever wee hours in the morning or at night. I never heard any of that shit. But I ran a loud fan at night. But I've never had any issues with the noise here. Now, sometimes what can happen though to me is I can get in a loud environment where it's too loud for me, like I'm a little bit noise sensitive, because it's kind of a loud country in some ways. But I just removed myself from that situation, right? The noise hasn't been an issue. The noise really hasn't been an issue for me here at all. And yesterday we get up in the mountains and there ain't nothing but birds, right? So yeah, that hasn't been an issue for me so much at all. Journeys in Bohol. I built a little top house, 2-story upper deck, overlooks Cebu from Bohol. Awesome views. Yeah, good for you, brother. That sounds great. Sounds great. I can't wait to get out to Bohol. We made some really good friends, or some great people. Guy was a really cool Dutch guy, BMW GS 850, and his girl and Mary Rose clicked like that. They're both Cebuanos, or both Visaya, right? Speak Visaya, and they just clicked it off. And so we actually just made some good friends out there in Bohol. So we'll be out that way. Yeah, Bohol looks great. It does. Bohol's a great option. There's a lot of guys out there, right? That are digging it. So yeah, I Pang Lao, and you got all the resorts and stuff that are there, and so you have access to really good restaurants and stuff, and you got Tagbiliran, the big port city there, and easy access back to Cebu. Yeah, Bohol looks good. Bohol looks good. Yeah. I got a couple guys. I got my buddy Kevin's out there. I got a couple guys out there. Yeah. I lived in northwest Bohol and could be in Cebu in an hour. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, Bohol looks great, man. I'm with you. I'll be out there at some point. Definitely riding around, checking it out. I can't wait. Now, right now, northeast Mindanao for me is kind of where I'm at. But even Bohol, I can get to you pretty easily. I think from Butuan I can get to Hagna Port, and CDO's got some stuff too. But yeah, no, Bohol's great, man. You're 31. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely got a head start than most of the people that are here, right? So I feel like I grew up being told great life. Yeah, the West is. Yeah, maybe it used to be. Yeah, Alberta, so many places are better than my opinion. It's true, man. I hate to say it too, but I've watched in my lifetime the American dream to be one of getting out of America, right? That's the new dream, is to leave. And that's changed in my lifetime. Most of us that are here on the channel and are older, right? And, we've seen that, the 80s, 90s grade, and something happened in the 2000s and it just switched. It's become, just this toxic hate culture that I describe. And I don't want anything. Maybe just I'm getting old, right? I'm like my grandpa. These young kids in the rock and roll. I don't know. It's not for me anymore. But whatever, man. Teach their own, right? Teach their own. It's completely subjective. It's just my opinion. But yeah, I didn't want it anymore. The American dream for me was to get out and build a house somewhere else, and build a house and settle down and do some different things out of the country and explore. And I did. I used to think United States and the American way of life. I felt very fortunate, and now, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I look at the schools out here. You know, we're riding around this country and we see schools, we see high schools, middle schools, and all that stuff. And kids are out playing and laughing and having a good time. And shit, man, my daughter's school, when it was new construction being built, that damn thing was like a prison, like a prison. Two-way doors going in, metal detectors. You know, you couldn't, you walk through one door and it shut behind you, and then you had to wait for the other door to open. That's a freaking prison, man. You know, and that's the American life now, because you got people killing kids. You know, it's not how it was. It's not how it is here. You know, you don't mass shootings. I was telling Mary Rose, when's the last time someone's walked into a Philippine school with a gun and shot kids? When's the last time that's happened here? And she's looked at me like I'm crazy. Well, that's what American life is like now. That shit happens all the time, man. People just blowing each other up. You know, there's gun violence here. There is, but it's more political in nature. You know, you don't have, you go here in this country, like in Bios, when we're sitting there, you go to this park, you got people playing, man, people laughing, people playing. You don't see that in the West, man. And this country, United States has gone downhill fast, fast. And I don't know if it's over yet. It's going to take something, though. It's going to take something big to kind of swing us around. And I don't know if it's political, you know, someone that can come in and shift things over. I don't know what it is, but it is just so bad in the States, man. And I've seen it in my lifetime just completely go away. It's sad. But thankfully, there are other places in the world we can go to, you know. Next stop. Those are great options. You speak in Spanish, Philippines is great for English only speakers like me. Yeah. Me hable muy poquito español. But yeah, no, that was a factor as well, you know, and coming out here as a language for sure. But, you know, there's some great options. What is that? Panama is supposed to be a really good option in Central America there. Yes, glad you're living your dream. I'm living mine in Leyte. Yeah, dude, I love Leyte. Yeah, I think Ormoc's a good option. You know, if you're a guy coming over, Ormoc's a really good option if you're a new guy coming over for a little more province experience. Yeah, we could pull it up on the map and show you guys. Oops, let me pull those out of there so that way they're not bombarding I just like to mark stuff that I go on the map or where I want to go, but it can create a little bit of distraction. All right, so let's look at Ormoc. Yeah, Ormoc City, guys. I like this little town. It's a good, actually, it's what, 300 something thousand, good sized town. It's got a little bit of traffic issues because of the damn trikes that are all over. But the nice thing about Ormoc is Cebu City and its access to Cebu City. You've got like freaking 8 ferries a day going back and forth. You got Super Cat, you got Fast Cat, you got two big ferry companies that are going back and forth. You've got so many options to get back and forth to Cebu. So it's a great way to kind of dip your toes in some of these more remote living areas. You've got some malls, you've got grocery stores. Ormoc's great. I like Leyte. So where we live is we're over here in Palampon, small town, 60,000, small town. Good. I'm glad I lived there. I would have preferred a town with a little bit bigger grocery store. That's kind of why I like Bias, Negros. Yeah. So I really liked it there because it did have that. But Leyte's great. I like Leyte. Beautiful. This whole region here, you can see the mountains, just gorgeous. Bye is beautiful. Maasin down there is another big town, wherever the hell that is. Yeah, good sized town. Yeah, no, Leyte is great. I like it. I like Leyte a lot. And if you stick to this western area of Leyte, you're a lot more shielded from any kind of low pressure systems that can come in through here. So versus this eastern edge, and you got great sunsets. I like Leyte a lot. I like it a lot. It's beautiful. We're gonna make our way back to Limahuasa. At some point, we'll come down there and stay down there. We're going to be back in Leyte for Christmas because that's where Mary Rose is. Although I think we might, we're down here in Butuan now, so we'll ride up through Leyte and come back up for Christmas, maybe a little bit beforehand because we really want to be here for Christmas. But yeah, I like Leyte a lot. Leyte is great. I'm glad I lived out there. Yeah, beautiful. What's the process you undertake to extend your tours visa? Have you looked at the SRRV? What is the most cost-effective option? Yeah, that's great. So with the tourist visa, you get here, you get a visa on arrival, you get here in this country, and you got to fill out that eGov thing. It's an app. Go out there and you get the eGov deal. Fill it out before you even leave. Fill that damn thing out. Although you can't fill out too far in advance. Whatever. Jennifer Terry is a great resource. I believe she's still doing videos on this, but anyway, she's got a whole channel dedicated to this process that you're talking about, but let's talk about it real quick. And then I would recommend her to get the nuances and the details of that. But anyways, you get here, you get a stamp on arrival. It's good for whatever, 28, 30 days, somewhere around there. And then you can go online if you want to the Philippines tourist, whatever the hell the website is for visa, and you can extend that. You can get an extension online, and that'll give you another 30 days. And then what you do is you can go to the immigration offices. You take your passport with you. Some of them you got to get a little 2x2 picture, like here in Butuan you do. And then you can get a 2-month extension, and then you can do that for 3 years. So every 2 months you're going to the immigration office, you're getting your stamp, and then you're good for 2 months, and then you know that kind of deal, right? You can do that for 3 years. Now, in certain areas, I remember my buddy Pete down in Tagum, down in Davao, and I haven't done this, but he was saying you can do 6 months extensions down there, which would be nice because then you're only going twice a year. When I first came out here back almost 3 years ago, you could do 6 months extensions in Cebu, but they ended that. So the longest extension you can do is 2 months. So just every couple months, you're going to immigration, which for me is 10 minutes away from here. 10 minutes away, I hop in and I go up in the office and I'm in and out. It takes me maybe a half hour, whatever. Depends on if there's other people there. It's pretty quick. There's always been like one other guy there, but it's not like a line out the door, you know. So usually whatever, half hour you're there, cost you, I think it was, I want to say maybe 3,500. So that's like 60 bucks. So let's just say 30 bucks a month because that was for 2 months. So 30 bucks a month, you're going to have to pay for your immigration. And then you could do that for 3 years. And then after 3 years, you need to leave the country. Now, once you're here for 6 months, you have to do what's called an exit interview. And you want to do that a couple weeks in advance, a week in advance. Basically, when you got your exit booked, freaking go and, do your exit clearance. And they'll basically just whatever, they'll run you through and just make sure you don't have anything up, no crimes or anything against you. You've got your bills paid and all that shit. Like no one's reported you to immigration kind of deal. So you have one of those after 6 months. And that's how it goes. And then you leave the country for 24 hours or so and come back, and then the whole damn thing starts over again. So that's the tourist visa. That's kind of the run through of that. The SRRV, I have looked at that. There are a couple of options, and they may have changed over the past couple of months or several months now. But the SRRV is, I believe you have to be over 50, which I'm over 50. And then if you've served in the military, there is a deposit of, I think it's $1,500. Maybe that's changed. I'm not sure. But you got to put money in a specific Philippines bank. You can't put it in any bank that you want. It's got to be a specific bank, and you can't touch the money. As soon as you touch the money, your visa goes away. So it's money that just sits there. And like I said, if you've served in the military, that is 1,500 pesos for that. And that visa, you're good. You can go in and out of the country. It's a really good deal. And if you have served in the military, it's a no-brainer. Freaking get it done. It just makes it super easy. And there are agencies like JRC and things like that that can help you out with that. JRC, I know JR. I've had dinner with his family and that kind of deal. Great guy, super helpful. He runs. If you don't know who he is, he's been around on a lot of channels, and I think he does his own channel. He does a lot of work with us foreigners on visa stuff, as well as I think he does some real estate stuff now. I think he's helped out Paul with some real estate stuff. So, anyways, highly recommend JR from JRC. Just a good guy. He's a good human. So that's kind of the retirement visa. It costs you whatever, a couple thousand US to kind of get that done between all the paperwork and that. And then you're in and out, whatever. I think maybe once a year or so, you might have to do something. With me on the tourist visa, once a year, I have to do what's called an ACR card, Alien Certificate Registration. And that costs, I think, whatever, a couple thousand pesos to get that done too. If you haven't served in the military and you want to get the SRV, if you have a pension of, I think of at least 1,500 pesos, so if you're on Social Security, then that deposit is $10,000. You got to put 10,000, and that might have gone up, but you got to put 10,000 in a bank, and that you can't touch, and then you got the same visa. If you don't have a pension, which I'm not on Social Security, what you doing, babe? Oh, if you don't have Social Security and that kind of deal, then the deposit is 20,000, right? So that's how all that works. Hold on a second. Let me see what she's up to. So that's kind of the visa process explained very loosely, very generally. But that's to my understanding. And I think some of that is changing recently. So I might not have the exact details of it, but whatever, you can email JR too. JR will, his agency will help you out and they can answer any questions that you have. But yeah. 50K salary, 650,000 house, 72% of millions said that they have given up owning a home. Wow, right? 72% they've given up owning a home. Yeah. It's over. Yeah, my two electrician friends, are renting rooms in 5-bed houses because they're own. Yeah, or a car. Yep. No, it's hard, man. It's hard. Yep, 650K for a house. And that's kind of what happened for me too. When I got a divorce, I had sold my house to kind of pay off a lot of that. And I bought my house back in 2008 during the crash, the real estate crash. I got an incredible deal on that house. 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo. I think it was just under 1,700 square feet. And when I sold that back 2022, I think it was, I was priced out of the market. Even I had 70, 80% equity. I just was like, this is ridiculous. Houses were over 500,000 at the time. I'm sure there are quite a bit more now where I was at. This is Colorado, booming housing market there. But yeah, I was just done, man. I was out. I was like, yeah, no thanks, man. I'm out of here. And I lived all over the U.S. I'd been born in California and lived in South Dakota, Ohio, Kentucky, Florida, just all over, right? Spent some time in upstate New York. I was like, there's nowhere I want to. In the last 20 years was Colorado. Ohio. I looked all around. I was like, I don't want to live in the United States anymore. There's nowhere I want to go here. Where else can I go? And so that led me outside. Yeah. Yep. I left the U.S. back in 2022 with my wife and daughter. Never looked back. Just rent my house out in the U.S., sold my 69 Camaro and got out. Yep. Yeah. Good for you, man. Yeah. Good for you. Have you thought on on being some of the dangerous cities in Zamboanga or the red zones if it's dangerous. Yeah, there's a lot of talk on that, right? Sorry, there's a mosquito or something buzzing around me. There is a lot of talk on some of those red zones and stuff. I have not been. I've been near. So let's pull up the map. Let's go take a look at. There's something flying around my hair. So Lake Marawi is one of those red zones that I don't know. I'm hearing mixed reports on if it's really that bad or not. Basically, it was bombed out. How many ever years it was because of activity, but yeah, I don't know if that's a bad area or not. And then another area, this area though, I think this quote Cabagdo or whatever the hell. This area I've been warned about. Don't go around here. Don't go near here. And then I don't know, man. There are definitely some red zones. I think United States State Department is a good resource, but there are a lot of great places also too to go to. But yeah, I don't necessarily travel. I don't travel to any of those really the kind of the more dangerous places, just because look, there's so many places to go to that aren't dangerous, that aren't questionable. Why risk it? Especially for me. Look, I think if you are going to travel in some of these areas, you really want to be mindful of how you're dressed, like anywhere else. Like if you're walking around a dangerous city in the United States, you don't want to be blinged out, right? You want to be very mindful of what you're wearing, how you are, that kind of deal. For me, I've got a freaking NX 500 motorcycle. It's a motorcycle that stands out anywhere and everywhere. There's very few of them. I wouldn't want to be riding around in that. I'd want to be dressed in a way that where I'm not standing out, either dressed more like a local on a scooter, that kind of deal. Me riding around on my big NX 500, a big white guy, carrying around gear with me, that is not a smart move. So I just avoid it just because of that. If I did want to travel in some of these areas, I'd be on a small little scooter. I wouldn't have a bunch of gear with me. I wouldn't be wandering around with a camera. Hey, this kind of, right? I wouldn't not be doing that. I'd try to cover as much skin as possible so I can kind of hide out, right? But yeah, there's so many great places to go and see that so far I've kind of been avoiding a lot of that. Yeah, there's other places to go. I did hear after 12 months stay, immigration are asking more questions why you keep extending your office. Do you have a Benai wife or girlfriend? Have you heard that? I have heard, Billy. So that's kind of been on my radar over the past couple of year or so. And when I first heard about it, I'll be honest with you, it bothered me quite a bit. Some of you guys have been around the channel long enough, may have known that and seen that, because at that time, I really was actively looking to go to like Cambodia to really develop a plan, alternative plan, right? But I've kind of calmed down since then. But I have heard what you're saying. I just have not experienced it. But here's the thing about that. Like if you go into immigration, you wanna be mindful when you go into immigration to extend this stuff. First of all, you want to be extremely respectful. You are a guest, you are a tourist. You want to have on that mindset of being a respectful. You want to dress up. You don't want to be wearing freaking flip-flops and a muscle shirt. You want to be, when I go into immigration, I'm wearing pants. I'm wearing a collared shirt. I'm wearing shoes. I'm yes, sir. Hello, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm, very respectful in talking about that. Have I ever been interviewed? No, I have not been. Does it happen? Yes, it can happen. And if it does happen, just be prepared on what you're going to say. Like for me, I say like, hey, I'm touring around this country. I'm traveling around. It's beautiful. I have a motorcycle. I travel around, which is true. It's exactly what I'm doing. But I say it in a way, in using words that explain I am a tourist. I'm not here working, which I'm not. I'm retired. I'm just traveling around. And, you know, that's kind of what you want to be ready for, is to have a conversation of, what they want to avoid is they don't want guys here working. Like, you can't work here. You can't make money in this country. Like, you can't take away jobs from Filipinos. Now, what I do is different. It's a YouTube channel, and first of all, I don't really make any money anyways, right? But you can't make money here. Like, you can't go down the street and work at a restaurant. You can't. It's illegal, especially on a tourist visa. So there are other visas where you can work here legally. Tourist visa is not one of them. So you can't legally make any money here. You can't do consulting. You can't do that crap. So that's kind of the long of it, with the visa and the mindset that you want to have when you go in there. Do I have a wife? No. I do have a girlfriend though. We've been dating whatever, year and a half now. And then, yeah, I just haven't had any questions on that. And, if that would to come up about that, I would just, talk about how I travel around. I would, I'm on a tourist visa. I'm touring this country. I would kind of leave out things that I wouldn't necessarily need to elaborate on, right? Other than how I travel, other than kind of what I do, which is travel around this country. I am a tourist in this country. I hop on my bike and I travel around and I take pictures and, I have fun traveling around here, all recreational, all, it's good times. Yeah. Side note, appreciate you answering me on Facebook also. Yeah, no problem, buddy. Looking at 40 countries. Yeah, I know, a lot to kind of take in. I also think that not only the Philippines are great, but the people we go to seem to have good connections. No, it is, man. No, yeah, I dig it, man. I really do. I dig it out here. It's an adjustment, though. It is. You have to love the outdoors. You have to, love being. You have got to be able to adapt. You got to be flexible. You got to be flexible. You can't be this guy that walks into a restaurant, looks at a menu, and has to custom order everything that you eat. The Philippines will drive you crazy if you're that guy. If you could walk into a restaurant and just sit down and say, I'll take whatever you give me, you're going to fit in just fine here. You really will. It is that kind of simple in the fact that you got to be flexible and you got to be respectful. Somebody said this early on in my stay here. The Philippines is, you get what you give. If you're a warm, welcoming guy, dude, you're going to be just fine here. If you're an upset, cranky bastard, you're here to take advantage of people, man, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. Yeah. Richard, I stand out a lot anywhere. I stand out a lot anywhere. I got a big white guy with tattoos. Yeah, you will stand out. There are tattoos here too, a little bit. I mean, it is conservative. Yeah, anywhere you go, I got you. Yeah, you're fine. But big, yeah, you'll stand out here for sure. Yep. Dean, Colorado Springs. Know your area well, brother. I used to work down in the Springs. Well, we had an office down there, so I drive down there, whatever, every couple of weeks. Downtown there, I can't remember that main hotel that's right downtown area. The firm that we closed down that office actually quite a while ago, pre-pandemic. But yeah, anyways, I'm very familiar with the Springs. Been down there, like I said, for every couple of weeks for years. So yeah. 30 years married to a Filipina, both active duty military, empty nesters this year, planning on to spend Colorado winters in Southeast Asia. Yeah, beautiful, brother. Yeah, good for you, Dean. Yeah, good for you. Yeah, I hope you make it out here soon. Yeah, very familiar with the Springs in the area there. I'm sure it's changed a lot. I can't remember the last time I've been out there. No, I'm good, baby. Hey, why don't you come out? Are you able to talk? Yeah, come on out. Huh?
Do you think I'm mute?
Do I think you're mute?
I'm cleaning.
You're cleaning?
Yeah, that's why you hear a beep because of the air purifier. It's been dusty.
Yeah, do you want to?
Oh, it's cold in here.
Yeah, isn't it? You want me to turn that off? Let's see. Do you want to sit down and chat?
Sure.
Okay. Grab a chair. On regular guy last live, he said, if you only knew what I knew about Chris, and started shaking his head. Do you have anything you want to come clean about? If he only knew what he knew about me. Dude, yeah, I would think what regular guy, I'm just trying to think what he would know about me that would be weird. I think what he knows about me is probably from someone in Cebu who's not me. Like I don't really know Scott. I really don't know Scott. So if I don't know Scott, he doesn't know me. Right? I hung out briefly with Scott. You know what? Let me turn off the face tracking. That way we get both in here. I hung out briefly with Scott, but we just don't jive, right? I don't, you know, I'm sober and don't, you know what, babe? Actually, can you come on this side?
Sure. It's cool.
I'm sober as of what, I don't even know. Oh, 2015. I quit drinking. Sorry, I'm just getting the camera set up here too. I quit drinking back in 2015. Scott is on the other end of that spectrum, right? He's very much drinking, very much part of his life and living. So we're really different. When we had met up, we'd seen each other in Cebu a lot, right? We'd hung out a little bit in Cebu early on when he was out there. And then when Chad and I went to Lete.
Billy Ram.
Yeah, Billy Ron. Scott met us out there. But he just didn't want to hang out, right? Him and Chad were close, but we weren't. And I think a lot of it was just because I don't drink and he's a big drinker. So we just don't have a lot in common. So yeah, we just didn't hang out. We didn't really do anything. So I don't, if he's like knows something about me or whatever, it would be from somebody else who probably doesn't like me and that shared something about me that may or not be true. I don't know. I don't know what it is that you're talking about, but guys, look, I'm an open book. I've lived life, admittedly. But I say that in the sense I don't have anything to hide, but I say that in the sense that I've lived a full life. I'm going to be 55 in a couple weeks. I've been around the block. But now I'm just into kind of simpler living. I'm into just chill life and hang out. And, I'm into photography and videography and traveling around by motorcycle. And, I'm kind of a boring dude, if that's not obvious by my videos. They're pretty boring. I don't, I'm not into much. I'm just here to have a simple existence and simple life. And, I don't live the crazy, wild lifestyle like some of these guys do. I don't. Now, I don't have any really hard feelings towards Scott. I've come to realize in trying to hang out with him a couple of times, we just don't have anything in common. Does that mean I don't like the guy? No, none of that. We're just different. He likes to hang out and, do whatever. And, he's a big dater. And this goes to a lot of guys that are coming out here. I would say the guys that are into like dating 3 or 4 girls a week and just kind of that kind of deal. I don't really have much in common with those guys. Or if they're heavy drinkers or that kind of deal, I just don't. I've been through those stages in my life, and that's not like I'm in a better place, right? It's not like I'm better than them because I'm not in that stage anymore. It just means that we don't have anything in common, right? But yeah, I can't think of a single story that Scott would know about me that I should be embarrassed of or be worried about or any of that. It's just, there's nothing in my life like that. And another thing around that is just I've owned my life, right? Like, look, admittedly, I'm sober. I used to have a drinking problem, but even back when I drank, there's nothing about those times where I'd be like worried. I just, whatever, man, it's life. We live our lives, we make mistakes, we do things, we move on. I've owned who I am. I'm a very transparent guy. I feel I am, and admittedly, in this stage of my life, I do focus on more happy and calm and peaceful type of existence. And I think that comes out in my videos too. So, um, I don't know. I don't know. I, yeah, again, I can't think of anything that he would know or anything even that he wouldn't know in my life that he would be like, oh, I've got this dirt on Carefree Chris. The story I talk about Scott is that was kind of our last interaction with him. Like I said, I hung out with him a little bit in Cebu. I'd set up a big meetup in Cebu City with him and David Bond and a bunch of guys. There was probably 15 of us at these big meetups, all bloggers, Chad, Mike. So he came up, but when we were trying to do film stuff, like I was trying to shoot some content, had these ideas around Billy Ron and Naval, because Chad and I and Scott were all there. I was like, yeah, look, we should shoot this video where we all kind of three show up. I think it'd be really fun. When I talked about it, he's like, yeah, I've been looking for someone to hold my camera. I'm like, what? He was really disrespectful. So when he kind of was that way with me, I'm like, all right, have a good life. I just don't, what's the point, right? Here's somebody who I was, trying to work with or do stuff with, and he just kind of had a bad attitude. So, but as far as what he knows about me and kind of I can't think of anything in my whole life that I would want to be worried about with anyone knowing. I just, I don't live my life that way, right? I don't, and it's not that I haven't done stupid crap in my life. I've done a bunch of stupid crap in my life, but I don't let it kind of bother me, right? I'm complete with stuff in my life. I'm complete with my marriage. I'm complete with all that stuff. I just don't, I live my life in a way where I'm like, my past doesn't impact my future, right? If that makes sense. I'm complete with stuff. Yeah, really cool. Go ahead.
I think he's just saying what he did, and not like, for example, what he's doing is like accusation about you. Is
So
actually what he is doing.
yeah,
The regular
right,
guy is pointing a blame on you, because he's doing nothing.
right.
That's people. That's what people do.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of too why him and I just never, like I said, I think a lot of it comes down to drinking.
Yeah.
I don't drink anymore, and he's,
Yeah.
A pretty heavy drinker. I don't know, like I used to watch Scott back before I moved to the Philippines, right? I watched him a little bit because he got here a little bit before I did, for sure. And then, just interacting with him, we just don't have anything in common. So I don't watch him anymore. And then there was a bunch of stuff about, yeah, there's just some things I just don't relate with. I've had a teenage daughter, and, I'm not into guys who, dating teenage girls. I'm just and even, even if he's 18 and 19, guess what? That's a teenage girl, right? So I'm just not into guys that tour around dating teenage girls and that kind of deal. And, I just, whatever. I just, to me, I don't want to support that kind of stuff. So I've stepped away, and, yeah, so whatever, man, teach their own in some ways, but, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of anything that he would have that's there, but good luck. He's going to need it. You know, a lot of guys like that are going to need it. I mean, guys, if, you know, you talk early on about you get what you give here. If you're coming around this country and you're exploiting people, dude, it is not if, it's when. You're going to find yourself in a world of trouble. I mean, you really will, man. You're going to jack with the wrong family. And man, watch out. You know, you can find yourself upside down in a lake if like that one American guy was out being disrespectful to the culture, to the community, to the religion. You know, it's not a culture you want to come out here and think you can take advantage of or exploit. It's just not. It's a culture for you to come out here, chill, relax, unwind, and have a simple existence. You know, you come out here and think you can exploit people, and you are in for trouble, man, trouble. Yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Yeah. Dude, I don't, man. I admittedly though, I've lived life, man. I've lived life, and I'm happy to be out here just relaxing and chilling. You know, I'm very much happy, and I'm very grateful for being sober. You know, there's two things in my life that I say the best things for me. Two things. One, being sober. I mean, that to me, I would be dead for sure. I'd be dead or in prison. Number two, moving to this country. Yeah, moving to this country. The two best things for me in my life, for sure. For sure. Philippines is top 3 because of English and apparently so-called conservative values and good morals. Hope you don't kill my dream. But you're right. It is. It is super conservative. You know, you've got girls, you know, we talked about, you know, she's thinking of that girl and 23 years old, never had a boyfriend. She's saving herself for marriage, right? That's very common here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very common in here.
Yeah, very common here in the United States, in the West. That's not common at all, right?
Even girls like me, we want to date to marry, not just date around.
Yep, they're not into it. If I would have came up to Mary Rose and said, you know, I've got a couple of other girlfriends.
Bye-bye.
That's right.
No, unless like a girl's living in Cebu, they're just looking for a guy who will sustain their luxury life or their money, but not me.
Yeah. I mean, I just think too. I mean, you get in Cebu and stuff like that. You'll meet a lot of girls who like to date around. You will. There's girls in Cebu that they only date foreigners, right? So that's definitely there if you're looking for it. But if you're looking for like a wife or a girlfriend, shoot, man, there's probably no better place in the world than right here, right? Yeah. No, we won't ruin it for you, brother. Hello, my friend Mary Rose, and Chris is handsome. Dave is in Chiang Mai, Thailand right now. He's enjoying himself out there.
Not your daughter.
Not my daughter.
No,
no, that's
I'm
not
the
my daughter.
neighbor.
Yeah. No, this is Mary Rose. If you haven't met her, this is my uyab of a year and a half, going on 2 years. She is an industrial engineer graduate who's completed her education.
I'm just a neighbor.
Yeah, neighbor girl. She's my yaya. Yeah, no, not my daughter. My daughter is in Colorado. She is in her first year of college. She's doing great. Yeah, she is. She's doing good. Sweet girl. Yeah. The American man, Scott, was falsely raped in 5 years. Can you check the door?
Okay.
Thanks, baby. Oh, that's probably the electrician, huh? Oh, no, maybe Fletchy with the, whatchamacallit? Yeah, no, dude. You gotta be careful. Let me turn this other mic off. You gotta be careful. You can't come here and take advantage of people. I think we got neighbors coming by. There'll probably be some heads popping around in there. But yeah, you got to be careful, man. Like I said, if you think you can come here and take advantage of people, you're in for trouble. You're in for trouble. Yeah. Hey guys, just showed up. Heard what you said. We should always be on our best behavior everywhere. I can imagine not being on your best behavior in the Philippines. Are you kidding me? I know, right? The other thing that stands out for me here, Kevin, is if I wasn't sober. What's up, brother? Come on in, man. Oh, sorry. You got some friends came by. Yeah, borrowed a ladder. Come by. We have our electrician coming by. We're gonna change out some fixtures and stuff. But you're right, Kevin. No, it's true. It's true. You gotta be on your best behavior out here. And if you think you can come over here and take advantage of people, man, you're gonna big trouble, and yeah, and it could take your life. Really could. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time. I went full Andrew Tate for a year because I was tired of the woke feminism and nonsense. But yeah, sleeping and dating with 50 women a year was not all my style. Yeah, I admittedly, guys, I'm 55 years old, man. I've been around the block. I'm not 20 anymore. I've dated. I think that's the other part when I meet the guys that come in and out. Yeah, you're fun, dude. I've been through that phase of my life, right? And I just don't relate to it anymore. And especially when you look at the conservative culture here that's out here. Now, in Cebu City, you could find girls that are up for that, right? And, you could take a page from David Bond, and what he does. I mean, that guy, he's full on honest with them. He talks to the girls and said, hey, look, this is what we got going on, just so you're clear and aware. That has integrity. Right now, you might not agree with what he's doing and that kind of deal, dating a bunch of other women, but at least that has integrity. He's not trying to steal some girl's virginity who's saving himself for marriage while dating 5 other girls, right? That's not the game that he's playing. That's the problem that I have with guys that are out here is doing that kind of crazy crap. They're touring around this country being asshats. Just be honest with it. If you want to date around a lot, no one says you can't, but just realize what you're dealing with, right? Be in some of these more open areas like Cebu City or that kind of stuff where that is accepted. You get out in some of these provinces, man, trying to take advantage of some of these locals, dude, you find yourself in serious trouble. Yeah. People that treat others less than are in for a rude awakening. They really are, man. I remember when I first got here, I met a guy, he was telling me some stories. Man, if you can latch onto a guy when you first get here who's been here for a while, it'll save you so much headache. But anyways, he was telling me about a guy that he went to a bar, was flirting with this Filipino who had a boyfriend. And the next thing you know, this guy's got a screwdriver in his side. It's just, man, you gotta be careful. They're friendly people. They don't like confrontation. But if you jack with these guys the wrong way, well, and then you got that rapper, right? That guy that was shot, who shot that American MMA fighter or whatever, who's flirting with his girl. See, that's the kind of stuff you have that we can't relate to as Americans or Westerners, is the saving face culture. If you disrespect people here, you're up for some legal stuff that you just don't understand, but as well as some life-threatening stuff. You just have to be very careful of that kind of behavior. Just got to be a good dude, man. Got to be a good person. Oh, okay, yeah. The best part of life is I would say my kids in general. Yeah, Dakota. No, I gotcha. My kids in general, for sure. And that's another point, right? I think the guys that come over here, they've never raised a daughter, Yeah, absolutely, man. No, my daughter's phenomenal. My daughter, my son, I have a 31-year-old son down in Tampa, So yeah, no, raising kids. I almost wished I didn't get a vasectomy. I'd love to start a new family out here. And guys are I got a neighbor guy out here who just had a kid a month ago. He's older than me. Just incredible what you can do out here. You can start a whole family, and you could have time. You can have time to raise your kids out here. You actually can be with them. We're not working 60 hours a week, right? Right? No, you're absolutely right, Dakota. Yeah, thanks for saying something about that more. Planning ahead to Iloilo to see Christmas setup next year. Yeah, likely to settle beachside in Thailand, but visit the Philippines every year. Yeah, beautiful, Dean. Yeah, good for you. Before the door knock, you were going to say something if you hadn't got it sober, and I would appreciate hearing what you're going to say about treating others with respect. Well, I just, as a former drinker, as an alcoholic, right? If there's two paths for people who don't get sober. It's you're either dead or you're in jail. And totally, if I wasn't going to get sober, I would one of those two. But along being an alcoholic in the Philippines, I think that's also dangerous too. I think some of the guys that have problems here are, they're hanging out in bars and stuff. I mean, look, right? I mean, hanging out in bars in the United States, you're going to find problems there too, right? And it's even worse here in a foreign country. So, the nice thing about being sober here in the Philippines, it's not a drinking culture like the United States. It's really not. When down in the Mascara Festival, yeah, there was parties and stuff. It was a big environment there, but there wasn't alcohol everywhere and anywhere. My buddy Fletch, who's over here now, we talk about this a lot. If some of these events that we go to and hang out in, you would see a freaking beer tent every 50 yards in the United States. Here, there's none. So being sober here is pretty easy. And well, being sober for me in general is, right? It's 2015. It's not like a week ago. And I know the consequences, right? So, but yeah, I mean, that's all I would say about that is, I don't remember exactly what I was going to say before the door knock, but, I would suspect something like that. Yeah, no lie. Do not underestimate saving face. Yeah, like karma, it's real. And it usually works out. Yeah, Dean, you just got to be careful there, man. Respect. As Westerners, we can't fathom, we can't understand what saving face is like, because we'll tell you, we don't have that in our culture. We have none of that in our culture. We're going to give you our opinion, whether you like it or not. And here they're not like that at all. They're not going to give you opinion. They'll lie. Like, here's an example, and I call it Philippines directions. You'll ask somebody where something is at, and they'll give you the wrong directions because one, they don't want to tell you I don't know. They want to help you, even if it means lying to you. Yeah, it's really wild, dude. It's really different. It's really different. Yeah. That's wild. Imagine having the opportunity to fully raise another generation and have a full family and live all over again. Yep. It's actually wild. Only 31, but at 55, that's amazing. I know, right? Yeah, he's starting this guy, and there's a lot of guys like that. They're in their 50s, they've never had kids, and they're starting that here, right? Man, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I will get off it, but it's 100% free to just be kind. Amen, brother. Yep. Have been stressed in America, sure, but there's anything trying here. Yep. No, you're absolutely right. With that, we're going to sign off. 2 hours. Yeah, I really appreciate the conversation, guys. I really appreciate it. I just want to close it by saying, look, man, just be a good person. Be a good person no matter where you're at, man. If you're in the States, if you're wherever, just be a good dude. Feed the good wolf. It's not just what I say at the end of all my videos. It is just feed the good wolf. Be a good dude. Be a good human. Take care of people. Stop trying to take advantage or whatever. Just be a good human. Right? Not being IO, be the good wolf.